Last month in Las Vegas, myself, Ray, and a few others, we got to go see The Flash in theaters, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I was very, very impressed with him. I had a great time. Now, one of the things I said when I came out of the theater and did my out of the theater reaction was, hey, we've heard some people saying this might be one of the greatest comic book films of all time. And I said in my out of theater review, no, this is not one of the greatest comic book films of all time. Let's pump the brakes on that a little bit. That title right now goes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But I did really like it. And the energy coming out of that theater was really high. There were 4,000 people in that theater watching it, and everybody seemed to have a really good time. And even though I didn't feel it was like one of the greatest comic book movies ever, I thought it was great, and I thought most people were really going to enjoy it. Well, the official reviews are now coming out for The Flash, and they are good, but lower than expected. As of this moment, the moment of this recording, on Rotten Tomatoes, The Flash is holding a 72%, which again, that's a good score. It's a good score. Only 58 reviews being counted right now. We'll see if that score goes up a little bit or down a little bit as time progresses here. But for now, 72. Good score. A lot of movies would love to open up a Rotten Tomatoes thing and see 72 positive, that big tomato. Fantastic. But considering the hype that went into it with, them saying, people in the studio, this is going to be one of the greatest comic book films of all time, all this kind of stuff, it is a little bit lower than where people like myself thought it was going to fall. Now, again, I don't think it was one of the greatest comic book films of all time, but I was expecting to see, honestly, mid-80s. I was expecting to see mid-80 critic rating, maybe even at the top end of the list, maybe even low 90s. But it's coming in about 72% right now. And, there's a lot of people complaining about some stuff that happens in the third act. And as I've pointed out before, that some of my issues with the film do happen in the third act, things like that. It does get a little bit messy. And a lot of the other critics seem to be recognizing that as well. It just seems to be impacting their enjoyment of the film overall a little bit more than those issues affected it for me. Still a good rating. One thing, though, that kind of stood out to me that I find a little bit troubling, actually just a little bit troubling, is the fact that some critics, and I'm only saying some, right? There's just a small number out of all the critics that have done it, but there seems to be a tendency amongst some of the critics that I've read to not even really review the movie. They're just reviewing the fact that they don't like Ezra Miller. And look, let me be very, very clear for you guys who have watched me for any period of time. Number one, I think it's horrible the way Warner Brothers, the old ownership at Warner Brothers, handled the whole Ezra situation as it was going down. I firmly believe, I've said several times, Ezra should absolutely never be allowed to play the Flash again. I think after this movie, which they filmed this movie before most of the nonsense that Ezra did ever happened, so I don't blame the current regime at Warner Brothers for any of that, but I said very clearly, this should be it. Ezra should not be allowed to play Flash again after this movie is done, and I feel pretty strongly about that. That being said, and that being true, when it comes time to review the movie, I expect the film reviewers that I read to review the movie. There's a time for talking about and editorializing and giving our perspectives on what should or should not Warner Brothers do with Ezra Miller moving forward. Should Ezra be allowed to play Flash again and all that kind of stuff? There are places and times for those discussions. I agree. I've had many of those discussions, and you know what position on that I personally take. But when it comes time to review the movie, I want you to review the movie. And it's a little bit disheartening for me as I look around some of the reviews, even on some of the outlets that I quite like. And, I see this, a Flash review that isn't even talking about the Flash movie. They're just talking about Ezra Miller. The Flash review, DC's middling multiverse movie can't outrun the Ezra Miller factor. Well, we're not here to talk about the Ezra Miller factor. Or even if we go over like a Daily Beast, another outlet that I really like, but their little review quote for their review of The Flash, to offer the film any kind of praise is an uneasy task because its star is one of the most controversial Hollywood figures in recent memory. Again, I don't disagree with that sentiment. Actually, I pretty much wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment, but not in your movie review. When it comes time to review the movie, what I want you to do is to leave your baggage at the door, watch the movie, and tell me how is the movie on its own merits. talk about all the other stuff another time, as we have many times here on the show, but it's just for that. Anyway, I'm encouraged to see that only seems to be a very small number of the critics on that one that seem to be focusing on that. A number of the ones that don't like it seem to be pointing to those other things that I said even I had issues with. It's a little bit messy here and there. The third act gets a little bit disjointed. Again, I didn't think it was as bad as some others did, but I can see where they're coming from. Ray, you sat in the movie. You saw The Flash. What kind of response from the critics were you thinking we were going to see today?
You know, I thought it was going to be lower. Really.
Really?
I don't judge myself as a good judger of movies.
Right.
I just see the good in a lot of movies. I had a good time. It still is my favorite DCEU movie. I don't care if it was a month ago that I've seen it. I could honestly say that this is it, just because of I don't know. Like on the third act,
right?
There's emotional parts for me. Like
I agree. I thought there were some pretty good emotional moments.
And what's sad about I hate that the third act is where people found flaws, because usually when you leave a movie, that's the last thing you remember, right? So it may impact those like reviews. I just think if you're gonna see this movie, see it without any of the baggage in your head and just watch it as a movie. You know, don't judge me if I watched it and like was able to like it, and I won't judge you if you don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? Just go into the movie, and you know, I think everyone should see this movie. I liked it, but I don't know. It all depends on whether you agree with some of those critics that you're reading or not.
And look, and again, I got to point out, the clear majority of the critics do like the movie. It's got a 72%. Now, again, that may come down, that might go up, but again, I thought it would be a little bit higher. I have no problem with the rating myself, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens too once the audience scores start coming out for it as well. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, before The Flash came out, I mean, it still hasn't come out, but before reviews started coming out, you know, we started to hear some of the hype, like one of the greatest comic book films of all time, which I disagreed with, but I still really enjoyed the film a lot. I was kind of expecting the critic rating to be a little bit higher, still very good score. What do you guys think? Is this right around where you guys kind of figured it would be? Did you think it would be lower? Did you think it would be higher? What's your anticipation level like? Are you planning on seeing it? What kind of film are you expecting to see? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. Listen, if you like our content, make sure you check out our daily podcast, the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, and your favorite podcasting app of choice.